Hi, and welcome to episode 20 of Let's Talk Bitcoin, a twice-weekly show exploring the ideas, people, and projects building the new digital economy and the future of money. 20 episodes. That number came up fast. Today is an experiment. One of the most common complaints we get is that our show is too long, and some listeners would rather have the ability to pick and choose what order they listen to the show in. It's also very intimidating for new users who might be interested in a particular segment, but not in the half-hour of discussion that came before. Episode 20 will be released in a number of parts. You should find a total of 4 files. In 20.1, Stephanie and Andreas share their experiences with localbitcoins.com, an alternative to centralized exchanges that's not against the rules yet. In 20.2, the hosts have a long conversation about what the point of mining is and if the incentive might have become the end result, losing sight of Satoshi's vision. This is a must-listen-to segment and clocks in a little under a half hour. In 20.3, that's what you're listening to now, I sit down with Asher Tan and Ryan Zhou, better known as Zhao Tong, two of the founders behind CoinJar.io, a new Australian Bitcoin exchange. At the end of this segment, you can hear Andreas on Bloomberg West yesterday. In 20.4, Andreas tells us about the upcoming Bitcoin Improvement Project Proposal number 32, which proposes a new third type of wallet, a hierarchical, deterministic wallet. Sounds technical, and it is, but the concept is powerful, and it's worth your time to understand the potential here. We appreciate you hanging with us as we try these new things out. Please send all your feedback to adam@letstalkbitcoin.com. Enjoy my interview with Asher Tan and Ryan Zhou of CoinJar.io from the team at letstalkbitcoin.com. Joining me today, we've got Asher Tan and Ryan Zhou, two of the co-founders behind CoinJar.io, a recently released merchant platform and exchange existing in the Australian Bitcoin market. Asher, how did this come about? What was the process that took you to where we are today?
Well, so Adam, my background's economics. I used to work as an economist for close to 5 years. I was working on startup projects on the side, and at a certain point I says, I don't really want to have my day job writing about interest rates anymore. Let's start a startup. So I found Gerald, my technical co-founder. We started on a few projects. We were accepted into an incubator program. The incubator told us we would rather much you have a Bitcoin idea than your social eating idea, which was great because we were really bullish on Bitcoin, and I knew exactly who to call to join our Bitcoin project, which was Ryan.
So Ryan, you actually have some background in this space. This is not the first exchange that you've been part of.
Actually, I founded Bitcoinica 2 years ago. It was a margin trading platform that allows people to trade with more deposit they didn't have, and also it allows traders to short sell. Unfortunately, after I sold Bitcoinica to US investor, after the new management went on board, the exchange was repeatedly hacked by security breaches, and that resulted in huge monetary losses. And currently, the liquidator is working on the issues right now.
So I know that there's still a little bit of aggression in the community, some bad memories towards that for people who lost money. That's something that my understanding is you have no control over at this point. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. But it's really unfortunate that this whole thing happened. And yeah, but well, I'm starting over in CoinJar, and I want to still continue to contribute into the Bitcoin community with my experiences.
So tell me about CoinJar. What's the plan for the platform? What is it that you're actually trying to do with this?
Currently, CoinJar is a full-service Bitcoin platform, and we provide wallets and Bitcoin buying service, as well as service for merchants. So CoinJar is the wallet, which is highly integrated with our other parts of our platform. And CoinJar Filler is actually the first service in Australia that allows you to buy Bitcoin with not ridiculous fees. So we charge only 2% for buying transactions, and many Australians really love this service. And CoinJar Checkout is our merchant solution, which is similar to BitPay. And merchants can use CoinJar Checkout to integrate to their website and get settled in local currency every day.
Yeah, when we started this, there were a lot of opportunistic players in the market, and we didn't feel it was right, even though we could probably come in and charge much higher fees. There was no real reason to charge Bitcoin enthusiasts 8% to buy Bitcoin, and we just thought that was wrong. So I think our first move was to make sure that we have a really good service for Australians to hold Bitcoin, and subsequently work on our merchant services as well.
So what's the primary focus? I mean, are you trying to be the big player in Australia here, or is the focus more on using that as a launch pad and then going international? What's the plan?
Yeah, I think we do harbor international ambitions. Right now, the Southern Hemisphere, Australia, really lacks a strong player. So I think if we can prove ourselves that we can do a really good job for the Australian market, we won't have any problems branching overseas.
Usually when we talk to people who run exchanges, they're not in incubators. At least in the United States and in some parts of Europe, the idea of running an exchange is something that requires, like a legal staff, and basically you have to be really proactive in complying with a whole lot of regulations that deal with money laundering and online crime, things like that. Is the situation different in Australia? Because, I mean, it sounds like you guys are kind of just getting started and you're, looking to take over.
We're still in the embryonic stage of figuring out the direction of our company. And Australia as well is quite unsure of what to do with Bitcoin. I mean, the tax office has come out to say Bitcoin is no more anonymous than physical cash, and it doesn't raise major issues that don't currently exist. Bitcoin is still a digital commodity in Australia and not yet classified as a digital currency or a currency per se. So we're still exempt from many of the regulatory rulings that exist in America and other countries.
So, Ryan, the thing that was interesting about Bitcoinica, like you said, is that it applied leverage in a way, or it allowed traders to apply leverage in a way that wasn't really possible with any other platform, and to my knowledge still isn't possible with any other platform. Why is it that you were able to do that when it's been so difficult for everybody else?
Well, Bitcoinica actually adopted a really unique model, that is the market maker model. Because for every new exchange, there's always a chicken and egg problem. Buyers will only go there if there are a lot of sellers, and sellers will only go there if there are a lot of buyers. This is a problem with every new exchange. And Bitcoinica kind of solved this problem by providing guaranteed liquidity, by taking a spread out of the current market price among GOGs, and then provide liquidity to buyers and sellers so that they can start trading. Also, the margin trading platform was inspired by a lot of the foreign exchange trading platforms that I have experiencing. Actually, it's really similar to other forex brokers.
I guess the thing that's confusing to me is you had a lot of success with that, and there have been so many markets that have come out, so many exchanges that have come out since Bitcoinica went away that haven't really been able to get much traction. Sure, they might be able to scrape a percentage or two off of GOX, but it's not really anything substantial, and this is something that over and over again people are saying, this is something that would make for a more mature market. This is something that the market needs, or at least a lot of players think that the market needs it. Do you think that there's going to be a player that comes back and does something like that? Is that something that CoinJar.io is looking to get into, or are you guys taking a more traditional exchange and merchant services approach?
Currently, we don't really want to expand our services into the margin trading territory. So for now, we just focus on simple buying and selling, buying for consumers and selling for merchants. And as a service platform, we just want to facilitate Bitcoin transactions rather than speculation.
Early on, Ryan told me the success of Bitcoinica had to do with two main things. One was design and usability. So a lot that's lacking a lot of other Bitcoin platforms at the moment. And the other one was service, because Ryan was always on the Bitcoin Talk forums trying to help users and solve user issues. So I think those two key things helped Bitcoinica succeed.
So with CoinJar.io, what do you see as the potential for the Australian market here? Do you think that this is something that could really enter wide adoption? Have you participated in any meetup groups, or do you know of, is there a scene for startups there that are focused in the Bitcoin space?
Not so much for startups. Right now in Australia, pretty much every major city has a Bitcoin meetup. I host Melbourne's Bitcoin meetup, and it's co-sponsored by CoinJar and an international Bitcoin company, which I'm still finalizing the details, but we're expecting close to 50 people at our next meetup. So lots of interest in Bitcoin users. About a month ago, we also traveled down to Singapore for a conference and a hackathon. The main reason we attended this hackathon was we found out that the Development Bank of Singapore, DBS Bank, would be there. So we went to really pitch the innovation team and gauge interest in the Asia-Pacific Singapore market to see if Bitcoin was a feasible choice for them. So we went in with a point-of-sale terminal that we made overnight, showed it to them, and they were quite keen. But at the same time, I don't think they took us quite seriously in terms of Bitcoin and P2P payments. They did agree that there's a lot of people unserviced by current banking markets, but at the same time, I think they're just a bit complacent and don't really see the disruptive force of Bitcoin.
Do you think it's that they don't see the disruptive force, or do you think that it's that there's not really much in it for them? You know what I mean? Because the people who aren't serviced by the banking system aren't serviced by the banking system because they're not profitable. And so if it's not profitable, then there's no reason to do it. Do you think that they just don't get it? They look at this and they don't see the potential, or that it's something else?
Well, I think banks have just become complacent, especially in a place like Singapore where the banking monopoly is really easy because of a small population.
The bank is not too much interested in P2P payments, mostly because it may not be profitable for them in the future. As banks, they're quite happily being a monopoly in financial services and make a lot of money from money creation process. But Bitcoin actually prevents that from happening. Bitcoin belongs to the people, and there's no central banks in Bitcoin. So everything becomes very competitive because the barriers of entry become so low in the Bitcoin economy. The banks may not have a big role in this kind of things if it becomes the future. Yeah, the banks may not really want to get the concept because that's exactly what they're not trying to do.
For our Australian listeners, if they'd like to get in touch with you and do business with you, what have you, it's coinjar.io.
Yep, that's correct.
Ryan, Asher, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thanks, Adam.
Let's Talk Bitcoin is heard each week by thousands of people who are participating in the new digital economy. Our listener base of Bitcoin owners, miners, investors, technologists, and merchants is growing fast. We offer a limited number of short advertising slots in each show to keep our listeners engaged and to provide maximum impact for our sponsors. If you'd like to talk to us about Let's Talk Bitcoin, send us an email at sponsors@letstalkbitcoin.com.
If I showed you a website where you could easily purchase electronics from the world's largest distributor with Bitcoins at 0% markup, would you think it was too good to be true? Good news, it's real, and it's at bitcoinstore.com. Choose from 500,000 items, save money over Amazon and Newegg, and convert your Bitcoins to real-world items. You can even buy with privacy. All they need is a shipping address. But don't take my word for it. See for yourself at bitcoinstore.com.
Tyler Winklevoss, the twins best known for their role in the history of Facebook, are looking to create the first publicly traded fund for Bitcoins. An entity called the Winklevoss Bitcoin Trust has filed for an initial public offering of 1 million shares to raise up to $20 million in capital. For more, I want to bring in my partner and our editor-at-large, Corey Johnson. Corey?
Yeah, Emily, along with the digital currency plan, this is being met with lots of skepticism, just the ETF alone. I am joined right now by Andreas Antonopoulos, who's the co-host of Let's Talk Bitcoin. It's a show about the new economy, the future of money. Andreas, this notion of an ETF that'll trade the value, an amalgamated value of $20 million worth of Bitcoins, how is it seen in the Bitcoin community?
I think it's seen as good news. It's going to bring some volatility. It's going to bring some mainstream views and perspectives and some mainstream investors.
And $20 million, at least.
Oh, well, yes. I mean, compared to the $1.5 billion total market size, it's small. But at the same time, for daily volume, that's great.
Are there certain... the way it's going to work is, if this works at all, is that they're going to try to raise $20 million and then go out and acquire, I guess, Bitcoins themselves. And so it'll kind of track it like a currency almost. But I guess the difference is, among other things with this, you'll now be able to short for all those Bitcoin haters out there who think this technology and this currency is a joke, they can actually go short the ETF.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an index fund. So, they say they already have 1% of the Bitcoins that are in the markets, the Winklevoss twins. So therefore, presumably, they already have the basis to capitalize this from the Bitcoin perspective. And as an index fund, it's going to be great because it can support the bulls and the bears.
Yeah, it wasn't clear from the filing, and maybe you know more than I, but it wasn't clear from the filing that they were actually going to take the money raised and sell their own Bitcoins to the ETF. Could they actually go in the marketplace and buy them? Would there be a price difference at all?
At the moment, it's probably trading a bit higher than when they originally bought their own Bitcoin. So they would probably make a loss if they did it that way. But, it's not clear from the filing.
What are the tax advantages to owning Bitcoin as opposed to owning currency? And would that change with an ETF? You know, if you're owning an ETF, you will be fully taxed on things and capital appreciation and so on. Are you in Bitcoin as well?
Yes, absolutely. I'm in Bitcoin, and I'm taxed on Bitcoin just like I am on, sterling or euro or any other foreign currency. You know, if I keep it long-term capital gains, So
there's no real tax advantage or difference with this thing?
No, it's treated just like a currency. The IRS considers it essentially capital gains if you trade it. Income if you're actually creating Bitcoins through mining, but other than that, capital gains.
Now, there's within the S1 filing for this new thing, one of the many risk factors cited, I thought really got to the crux of it, which says that essentially that until Bitcoin is accepted by retailers or is used in commerce more, it is purely a speculative tool, therefore suffers the vicissitudes of trading and the volatility of that as well. Within the Bitcoin community, is there a belief that there needs to be a push to actually use these in commerce more?
Absolutely, and I think, in fact, it is used in commerce quite a lot. You know, there are already thousands of retailers who accept it, and for the average retailer, it presents some big opportunities.
That's not 1,000 retailers is not a lot.
It's tiny, yes.
I can't think of a single place I've been that accepts Bitcoin as payment.
There's a few here in San Francisco. They gain the advantage of essentially non-reversible transactions and very low costs for the payments. So, you know, from that perspective, it has a lot of advantages over traditional payment systems. And merchants love it.
Interesting stuff. All right. Well, Andreas Antonopoulos, thank you very much. The co-host of Let's Talk Bitcoin. Appreciate you talking Bitcoin with us.
Thank you so much.
Emily?
Thanks to Asher Tan and Ryan Joe for providing content for this segment. Please send all listener mail to adam@letstalkbitcoin.com. Especially this time because we're trying something very new here. I'd like as much feedback as possible, so chime in. Thanks for listening.